Hello, everyone. This is The Joys of Living Great here on the Win Win Women Television Network. We're here every Thursday at 4 p.m. because we have joy and we share joy. Today, we're sharing the joy of celebration. Does everyone know what today is? Today is Independence Day. It is the 4th of July here in America, and that means a lot to Americans. Independence Day is celebrated as Cookout Day, as holiday for freedom. It's also the time when families get together to really, even though Memorial Day kind of starts the kickoff for cookouts for the summer. July 4th is the one that's right smack in the middle of the summer. So it is the one that people really, really look forward to. It's the one where children are out of school, a lot of people are on vacation, and that's probably why there are not a lot of people watching us live today. But don't forget, you can always watch us on the Win Win Women Television Network. Our recordings will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which is The Joys of Living Great. Now, thinking about the joys of celebration, there's so many different angles that we could talk about that. There are so many different things that we could do and say about the joys of celebration. But it just comes to mind that there are probably a few key things that we want to mention to you, our audience, and that we would like, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching as a recording, to know. There are just a few things that we definitely want you to know about celebration. Everybody celebrates in their own way. Everybody really, really celebrates as they enjoy celebrations. And that's what a celebration should be. It should be a time when you are enjoying life. You are really feeling the joy of being alive. And you feel the presence of the Holy Spirit that lives within you. This is truly when you can celebrate. This is when you can really know the joy of celebration. So one of the points that we wanted to bring today and wanted to mention is something that's called, there's a technical word for it and it just doesn't come to mind, but I'm going to let our professional tell you what it is. Crystal, what is the word that I am trying to think of? You know, the celebration where you tell people, you give them the positive and reinforcements. There's a word for that, right?
Yeah, it's a word. It's a term. It's a term. So in clinical world, there's a term used called the nurtured heart approach.
That's it. Thank you.
It's nurtured heart. And basically what it is that we're not going to give in to the negative energy. We're going to celebrate and give our energy to the good stuff, to the positive behaviors and positive things that go on. We don't want to put all the energy into the negative circumstances. Also a way of showing your children, because this is geared towards children, I work with children, is another way of showing your children, that you're 100% invested in them when they do good stuff, because they notice that the negative energy is what brings the attention. That's when we as parents pay attention. So now when with nurtured heart, you spotlight the good stuff. Spotlight what's good, the good behavior, the positive behavior. And you remind them, hey, listen, remember last week when I told you did such a great job with, sharing with your sister, you took out the trash without me having to ask you, and those type of things. You're highlighting the positive things and wanting them to continue on with doing positive things. You're making sure that you give all your attention when the stuff is good, and you refuse to give energy to the negative. Refuse. Let's spotlight the good news. Let's talk about the joy of the thing. Let's give all of our energy and show your child that, hey, yeah, I'm invested in you, good, bad, and indifferent, but I would rather be good in the good. So that's where I'm going to show up. When you're doing good stuff, we're going to emphasize the good stuff. And we're going to celebrate the joy of it all. That's the celebration, the good stuff. We don't want to give our energy to or celebrate anything that's negative or could be done better or could be done with more, consideration of others, so to speak. So yeah, the Nurtured Heart basically is a focus on the good stuff.
And it also means that celebration isn't bragging. Actually, not at all are you bragging, but it's really sharing and shouting out the joy about something that someone has done. You could really make them feel good at that point, but it also makes you feel good. And that's where the celebration comes in, because you can enjoy it together.
Yeah, and it just turns into a whole different it turns your focus away from anything negative. It just makes you take your mind to a whole nother space, a whole nother place, and focus on that, and change your thinking, change your approach.
Mindset. Yeah.
Definitely mindset. Mindset has a lot to do with it, doesn't it, Brenda?
Yes, it does. Has a great deal to do with it. What you're thinking. So we watch some in this world today. We already know what we're in. We're in a lot of hustle and bustle, chaos. The news, and it brings you nothing but. Say if you watch your television, it brings you nothing but bad news, negative news, as you said before, Crystal. So, what are we going to do about that? Some people watch the news and they take it into their spirit. Some people don't watch the news, but they know enough about the news to know what's going on in the world. But as a retired school teacher, I'm going to tell you what I used to do with my students. And it's still a good thing to do at home as well. What I used to do is I would discuss this with them, like, what good news do you know? And they would have to think, don't know any good news, Miss Sawyer. Well, what about your grades? Did you get a good grade this week? That kind of thing. Oh, yeah, I did, Miss Sawyer. Or what's happening in your household? Is anything good happening? Things like that. I would actually have them go around their neighborhood and take maybe a photo of something, maybe something of nature, maybe an animal. And then when they bring it back, they could talk about it and relate it to the class as good news, because we weren't going, like I explained to them, we weren't going to see those things on the television, because it was all, if you did see something good on television, on the news, it would be very, very short snippet of it. So you wouldn't really get a chance to know it was what kind of news it was. So they would take photos and they would bring them in and discuss them with the class. Good news. What kind of photo was that? Well, it's a photo of a deer. And it was grazing. It was with their little babies, something like that. Just simple things, something with nature, flowers, a picture of their family. What did you do? We had a picnic. That was good news. So we shared it with the class, and sharing always brought about a better feeling together as a class, because I always thought of my class as a family. So it brought about the sharing, the caring, and that's how we shared our good news. Another way, some people share their good news. Say, for example, a couple is having a baby. So what they can do to tell their parents, and have them together, and they can wrap a nice little box, really pretty with ribbon, and they can put the photo of the ultrasound, ultrasound or the photo, of the baby in the box, maybe with a little T-shirt or whatever. And if they know the gender, they may put something blue or something pink, and they could put that and wrap it up. And then they say, this is something we want to give to you. They open it up, They say, "Oh, what's this?" And it's good news. It's telling them that we are now having an addition to the family. And that's good news. And that's one way to do it. Another way is maybe a singing telegram to say, "I love you." A candygram. People do it all the time. Why not? Give those flowers while they're living. That's what I say. But we have to, and you know what? We have to create our own good news because there's really none out there, people, if you look at it. And if it is, it's just a snippet of it. So that's what I bring to the table today. Yeah.
Well, you
Make your own
know,
good news.
one of the things is, and I'm sure that you ladies will agree, is we have to always be prepared
Yeah.
to celebrate joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Celebrate joy.
You, if, and that goes back or circles right around that mindset. So
Yeah.
you have to have your mind prepared to be ready to celebrate yourself as well as others. And as you're doing that, you're sharing joy and you're having joy because it gives you such great pleasure when you're able to really, really celebrate with someone else.
Mhm.
The thing that I think of that comes to mind is often in business, people get awards, they receive trips or bonuses or what have you. If you have never received one, that's fine. But if someone that you know receives any kind of a recognition or reward or award, you should be happy for them. Help them to celebrate.
Yeah.
I know, I can remember that there were times when we were in a setting where someone had a baby. As you mentioned, Brenda, someone had a new baby in the office family, and we were celebrating with them. And there would be people who didn't want to have the cake, they didn't want to participate. But you will find that you will have so much more joy within yourself if you are able to actually celebrate with others. It's kind of like uh not an addiction, but
It
like
becomes
it
contagious,
spreads.
I
It
think.
just
It
starts.
becomes contagious, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm. Yeah.
contagious, right?
Hmm.
That's the word,
Hmm.
contagious, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
is contagious. And if you get that into your spirit and into your mind, and you're always prepared to help someone celebrate, it's just automatically going to happen. And it does become contagious. You will even find ways to celebrate. People
Yeah.
may something happens and you will be the one to suggest the celebration
Yes.
because you are in that mindset and of that spirit. There's so it's so important not only to be ready to celebrate, but be ready to celebrate with others. Um, make sure that everyone that you're celebrating with understands the celebration that you're doing. Sometimes we are celebrating and there may be some confusion in communication, and that's, we're only human, so there could be confusion, but make sure that it's clear what you're celebrating and why you're celebrating it, because the celebration needs to be remembered.
Right.
There are some small things that I can remember that have happened over the years that were real little tiny things. I have a box that's on my vanity in the bathroom that a friend gave me that has an angel on the top. And it's just a box. That's all it is. It's a little box. And I keep cotton swabs and Q-tips in the box. It's a pretty little box. But every time I look at that box, I think about how she celebrated my birthday by giving me that little small gift. And it probably came from the Dollar Tree, but that's okay. It's pretty and I've had it all these years. And it's just important. So you never know how important a little celebration with someone else is going to be. Regina, I know there was something that you were going to share with us about celebration.
Yes. You know what? We were created to celebrate. And, the scripture reminds us to rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And it says, we have to make it known, hey, that we're joyous.
Yeah.
And Philippians also, that's in Philippians 4th chapter, go down a little further and it says, whatever things are just, whatever things are of a good report, think on those things. And that will automatically, guess what, give you a reason to celebrate what's going on around you. And even the smallest little things, we got to be prepared to celebrate. So when you're in your local grocery store and you pass those balloons, you think about your coworker. Let me celebrate my coworker today by just buying this little balloon. And what I always used to do at work, I used to keep occasion cards in my desk. So I might overhear one of my coworkers saying, oh, I have to prepare for my child's birthday party this weekend. I pull out a card, write a little note in there, celebrate their child celebrating a birthday. And you would be so surprised how people would really, really find joy.
Yeah.
Just that you're remembering, just have
Remember.
those thoughtful thoughts about them and the little things that are going on in their lives. And I always carry these little blank cards. I like the ones with the high heel on the front because, I'm a girly girl at times. So I like the one with the high heel and the sequins on front and it's blank on the inside. So whenever I just find a moment that I want to celebrate someone, I just take that card, write a little handwritten note and ease it to them. I might put it next to where they're sitting or on the table or, or at their desk at work. Any reason to celebrate, I try to find that way to celebrate. You could pass my office and find balloons on my door, and someone say, well, what are you doing today, Sarge? It's Monday, and I made it. So we're celebrating. Hey, we made it to work after a long weekend or a short weekend or whatever. It's always a joyous thing to find a reason to celebrate. And when we remember that we were created to rejoice and
Yes.
celebrate, oh man,
Yeah.
all the big things all of a sudden become small things when you can find joy in everything you do, Faith.
You
Yes.
most certainly can. And it all circles back around to that mindset. You got to have that
That's true.
spiritual connection
Spiritual
and
connection.
stay in your Bible so that it gives you that mind, the mind that helps you to have the mature heart and the maturity within yourself to always be prepared to celebrate, always be ready to celebrate, and always realize the joy in everything that you do. One of the things that I think comes about with the celebration is you grow deeper relationships with others. And what is deeper relationships other than the love that God has told us that we need to share, that we need to love everyone? How better to do that than to celebrate with them? How better to love someone than to always be prepared to celebrate with them? How better to show the love that you have? And believe it or not, now who is going to disagree with me here? When you're doing that, are you going to not get love back?
Get love
That's
back.
right.
Absolutely, you're going to get love back. Can't help but get love back.
Of course.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are absolutely going to get it back, and you're going to receive it it's going to be more blessed than what you've given.
Yeah.
So all of that circles around the celebration. We are going to celebrate during this entire month. So every week we will have a different focus for celebrating. And I wanted to let our audience know that next week we will be celebrating joy. So we are the Joys of Living Great. So who else? I mean, we're really going to celebrate joy with you next week. This week, it is all about starting that celebration. And because it's Independence Day, it sort of tied in that we should kick it off with the joy of celebration. Celebrating can be in so many different forms. How many of us have birthday parties? How many of us have weddings? How many of us? I mean, there are just so many different celebrations, but there can also be those private ones that you have. It's not a big crowd. It could just be two people who are celebrating something unique, something special, a friendship even. Take a friend to lunch. Call a friend, have a cup of coffee.
Yes.
Are there any other ideas that you ladies can think of that you might do with a friend or a coworker or a neighbor or someone who you know actually does a lot for other people? Are there any other suggestions?
Yeah, you can invite someone over for a cup of tea, coffee, a cocoa, whatever. Just even a neighbor, because I've heard that being done. Just inviting one or two neighbors over for tea, a little bit of tea and crumpets, as they call it, and it actually was crumpets. So and do that, so that you can get to know your neighbors. Sometimes we don't get a chance. We're so busy, and we don't even get a chance to talk to our neighbors or even say anything to them. So we can invite them over for tea or coffee or whatever they drink. Yeah, and that's a good way.
I used to really love sharing the produce that would come from my yard. We had grapefruits, we have mango trees, we have avocados. And, I would notice, depending on the season, my neighbors are very celebratory. Every weekend, it seems like they have a gathering. And when I know that they're having a gathering, if I have something to share and that could make their party go a little easier, if mine particularly like avocado season. When I know that they're having a party, they don't have to worry about avocados. I will supply them with the avocados, and a lot of people bring wine or flowers to the party. I bring the avocados. I bring the mangoes, and it costs me nothing. It's something from my backyard, and it shows that I'm celebrating them and whatever they're choosing to celebrate as well. And what I did recently for the fathers, for Father's Day, to celebrate fathers, I made them all crowns to celebrate them, to make them. I handmade these crowns and I covered these crowns with money. And that's how I celebrated them. And man, those guys, they were surprised because they said we're accustomed to getting ties and socks, but not a crown of money. But it was a day to celebrate them. So, even I mentioned that only to say, even the smallest little things that you can create yourself. A little craft, if you're good. Katrina is a crocheter, and we have other people that, you work with your hand. People really appreciate little gifts to celebrate them with things like that.
And it's gifts from the heart. I believe it's gifts from the heart, really, right? It's gifts from the heart. Comes from your heart. Yeah.
So my church has incorporated what's called a secret sister. And we celebrate them in little ways, but the main purpose of it is to we pick a name and we pray for that specific sister. But along the way, we drop little celebratory gifts. For whatever reason, we put down birthdays, anniversaries, and things like that. But we're also told to write down our favorite color, favorite snacks, favorite things, so that we are encouraged in the gift giving. Little gifts, nothing expensive, but it's the thoughtfulness. I happen to get a wonderful gift because I'm a singer. One of my secret sisters, the last go around, she brought me a little jar, like a canning jar, but it was filled with throat lozenges, honeys, tea bags, and things like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, thoughtful. See, I grew up in a family who celebrated. We celebrated everything. We got together just because every third Saturday, every third Sunday, my family, just because, and celebrated family.
Yeah.
When my sister, when Katrina and we went to grad school, and her and another friend of mine, every semester when we finished our classes, we celebrated some kind of way. We went to lunch, we went and bought something real expensive. The stress was real. So he's like, we did it, let's go celebrate. So there's so many little ways, and so many little ways. A card, a text can even celebrate these days, just to say, hey, thinking of you, encouraging, and things like that. It's so many ways. It's just again, it's a mindset. It's absolutely a mindset. And it also helps those who don't have that mindset to be convinced that it's a healthy mindset. We can convince someone, hey, it's okay to celebrate. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to have joy and share that with someone else. And we can bring somebody else up to speed with what joy feels like and what celebrating feels like. So I'm all ready to party all the time. Ready. You got A's? Listen, I'll give you money. It is less, because that's encouragement. Celebrating is encouraging. So
we should be happy when we do it.
Absolutely is. Celebrating is encouragement. And that nurtured heart that you started with, Crystal, really is how we can detour away from the negative thoughts and always start with the positive, even though, sometimes reprimands are necessary, but there's a way to do everything, and it can all turn out to be a celebration. I know, and I do agree with all of you, that those little things, like now that we're in the technology age, if someone sends me a text message and it has a heart and it just says thank you, or anything similar to that, that is so special. But it's a celebration for me. And so when I think, sometimes I haven't spoken to someone for a while and they run across my mind, that's what I'll do. I'll text them a happy message, just to let them know that I'm still thinking of you and I am going to celebrate this moment with you. So any of those little things that we can think of that will help us to keep that celebratory mindset, to demonstrate it over and over and over, and always be ready to celebrate with someone, then we're going to be the ones to benefit with the joy that we receive. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining today.
Can I do something really quick? Can I celebrate the man who came up with the nurtured heart approach?
Sure.
I want to just mention him. There's an author named Howard Glasser who wrote a book, Transforming the Difficult Child. And in that book, Transforming the Difficult Child, is where he explains the nurtured heart approach. Okay. So I want to just celebrate.
Give us that name again.
Howard Glasser. Glasser. Howard
Okay,
Glasser.
2 S's. Okay,
two
good.
S's.
Okay.
Transforming the Difficult Child.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. So thanks
and it will
again.
transform us.
Yes. Thank you so much again, ladies. And thank you to our live audience and to our listeners who watch later. We will be here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Win Win Women Television Network. And we are the Joys of Living Great because we have joy and we share joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.
Blessings.
Enjoy family and friends today.
Be safe.
Mhm.